Yo, what's up, cult? Strap in. Today we've got something that's been making the MMA world skin crawl for the past 48 hours. Ilia Topuria just popped up with one clear goal: to burn this world to the ground. This is Combat Cult MMA, never back down. Let's get it. First into his furnace, Arman Tsarukyan. Topuria didn't just talk trash, he straight up dragged him through the mud, calling him a dummy 5 or 6 times in a half-hour interview. But the insults aren't even the most interesting part. Have you ever wondered why Ilia is so obsessed with Arman's money? By the end of this video, I'm going to break down a theory that explains why Topuria is so triggered. Trust me, it involves massive assets and a certain Venezuelan family. But we'll get to that. First, let's get to the meat. Topuria said it point blank. The kid has the mentality of a child. He's an internet embarrassment. And honestly, it's hard not to agree, at least partially. In 2026, Arman has basically gone full crash-out streamer. One day he's hunting crocodiles, the next he's choking out bloggers until they go limp on a live stream, or throwing elbows at grappling tournaments, nearly hitting legends like Uriah Faber. He's acting like a schoolboy who just got his first unlimited credit card. Topuria hit him where it hurts. You pretend to be a millionaire, but you've got nothing but daddy's money. You're so poor that all you have is your father's cash. Harsh? Yeah. Fair? Let's talk about it. Look, aren't we the ones who forced Arman to act like this? A few years ago, everyone was whining. Tsarukyan is boring, he can't sell a fight, he's just a wrestling robot. Well, the kid listened. Now he's chasing clout, getting into scandals, and doing everything to make his name echo. And it's working. Even Daniel Cormier is whispering backstage that the UFC brass is seriously looking at Arman as the ultimate threat. It's the classic story. First, they hate on you for having no charisma, and when you finally play the villain, those same people scream that you're being childish. But let's look in the mirror. Topuria criticizes Arman for flexing luxury, fast cars, expensive watches, custom suits. But Ilia, my man, where did you start? If you scroll back through his Instagram to his early UFC days, it's the exact same picture. Successful success, luxury, and arrogance. And here's where it gets interesting. Rumors are flying that the seed money for Ilia's wealthy image actually came from his girlfriend Georgina's family. Those people are, to put it mildly, not poor. But I think that's more gossip than fact, especially since they've separated and Ilia is a top-tier UFC star now. But the question remains, why is Arman's daddy's money any worse than having wealthy in-laws? Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Let's be real. What father wouldn't want his son to be one of the most dangerous men on the planet? Arman is at the top of his game. He grinds in the gym like a slave. If his dad made millions in Russian real estate, and we know how business is done over there, why should the son be ashamed of it? Topuria is convinced of one thing. Once they're in that cage, the millions and the streams won't save him. Quote, I'll kick his jaw out of the chat in the first round. And look, despite my love for technical grappling, Ilia has dynamite in his hands. He can put anyone's lights out, Arman or even Islam Makhachev. But can he do what he's claiming so arrogantly? Can he actually make Islam tap? Now that sounds like pure delusion, which we'll dive deep into in part 2. Some contract details just leaked that will make your hair stand on end? Drop a comment. Do you think Arman is really just a daddy's boy, or is Topuria just jealous of his engagement? Keep it clean in the comments, guys. Let's keep it professional. To be continued. Look, what Ilia told Ariel Helwani in the second part of that interview isn't just self-confidence. It's either borderline dementia or a genius bluff. Topuria looked straight into the camera and said, I will make Islam Makhachev tap. When Ariel asked him, Are you serious, man? You want to submit the best grappler on earth? Ilia acted like he'd already done it. Don't be surprised when you see it happen. Let's be real. In the North Caucasus, people grow up wrestling. We've seen how Khabib, Islam, and Khamzat literally grind people into the canvas. That's a different level of control. Seeing Ilia, a striker with a heavy punch, choke out Islam would be like seeing a scooter outrun a Ferrari at the Monaco GP. Theoretically possible, if the Ferrari's wheels fall off. But in practice, you know the deal. Actually, guys, I've been thinking, we have seen weird things happen. Remember when Jiri Prochaska choked out Glover Teixeira? Everyone thought that was impossible too. The only scenario where I see Ilia celebrating a submission win over Makhachev is if he first turns Islam's lights out with his signature hook, and then slaps a guillotine on a half-dead body, kind of like Alexa Grasso did to Valentina Shevchenko, just shooting for a takedown on Islam and trying to out-grapple him? Good luck, Ilia. You'll need it just to stay awake past the first triangle. But the real juice is the contract situation. Remember the noise when Ilia supposedly turned down the Islam fight? Now Topuria is spinning a very convenient narrative. They offered me the fight on a Tuesday or Wednesday, then they disappeared, and a day before the announcement, they rolled out Justin Gaethje at the White House. Ilia acts like his manager never said anything about a refusal, but we weren't born yesterday. Let's be honest, Ilia is a businessman. He knows fighting Islam right now is a massive risk for the same money he can get for fighting Gaethje. Why jump into a cage with a Dagestani tank for peanuts when you can smoke Gaethje, build more hype, and then demand a 7-figure check from Dana White? Islam says he'll fight for free, but Ilia isn't that guy. He wants every drop of his sweat paid for in gold. It's pragmatic, it's European, but to our fans, it looks like he's ducking. And that brings us to his ambitions. Ilia is seriously talking about moving up to 170 in 2026, taking that belt, then coming back down to beat Islam. It sounds like a world domination plan from a cartoon villain. Meanwhile, he's already written off Paddy Pimblett, saying Paddy won't reach his level even in the next life, and he's constantly flirting with a Conor McGregor fight. You know what amuses me the most? Ilia talks about UFC Spain like he personally laid the first brick of the arena. At the end of the year, maybe it happens. We heard that in 2024, then in 2025, and now it's 2026. It's starting to sound like a politician's promise. It's coming soon, just be patient. Yeah, the Spanish market is huge. The fans are wild. But so far, Ilia is just blowing hot air. Bottom line, Topuria is a master of the media game. He knows if he stops talking crazy about choking out Makhachev, everyone will forget him in a week. He's betting everything. If he goes out and actually KOs Gaethje, his stock hits the moon. No, Yesli Arman, Ilia Islam, but if Arman or Islam get to his neck before he gets to their jaw, man, what an epic fail that would be. What do you think? Does Ilia really believe in his grappling, or is he just heating things up for a big payday? And should he be ignoring Paddy Pimblett so openly? Paddy might be goofy, but he's still a cash cow. Let's discuss in the comments. In the final part, we'll break down the Conor situation and why Ilia thinks McGregor is his ticket to immortality. And for dessert, the sweetest part, the notorious Conor McGregor and those Napoleonic plans that either make Dana White's wallet itch or his head explode. In this interview, Ilia Topuria finally stopped being humble. You know those people who haven't even bought a lottery ticket yet, but they've already planned which yacht they're taking to Monaco? That's Ilia right now. The Conor fight talk is back on a loop. Topuria is convinced that if McGregor somehow gets past Max Holloway, their meeting would be the biggest event in sports history. And I agree. On paper, that's a nuclear explosion. No давайте будем реалистами, but let's be real. Where is Conor now, and where are the real title fights? McGregor isn't a sporting challenge for Topuria, he's a retirement fund. Ilia wants to hit the jackpot and ride into the sunset, leaving us to argue over whether he was a great champ or just a very lucky talker. And what about Paddy the Baddie? Remember when they almost threw hands in a hotel hallway over hand sanitizer? Now Topuria looks at him like an annoying fly. Paddy wouldn't get a title shot even if he were born again, Ilia snapped. It looks like their paths have split like Toretto and Brian in Fast and Furious, minus the sad music and plus a lot of mutual cursing. Ilia is aiming for the stratosphere where gods like John Jones live, forgetting that the fall from there hurts a lot more. The sketchiest part is the promise of a Spain card. End of 2026, he says. Guys, we've heard this for so long we should start a Topuria promise calendar. Sure, Madrid is waiting, the Santiago Bernabeu is ready, but the UFC is a machine that won't move until every cent is counted. Ilia is building massive expectations, and if the event falls through again, his reputation as the guy who runs Europe will crack. Here's some food for thought. Topuria is acting like a man who has zero room for error. He spit in Arman's direction, took a swing at the sacred, Islam's wrestling, and he's already picking out the suit color for a Conor fight. In our culture, we value humility and action over empty words. But the MMA world has changed. To be number one now, you have to scream the loudest, even if you're talking nonsense about submitting Makhachev. But you know what? Despite his arrogance, Topuria is a breath of fresh air for the industry. He makes us hate him or love him, but he never leaves us bored. And even if he loses his next fight, we'll still be talking about him for a month. Final verdict. Ilia Topuria is either a marketing genius leading us by the nose to the biggest money fight in history, or he's a man who believes in his own hype so much he's lost touch with reality. And reality is that in the lightweight division, there are hungry wolves from the Caucasus who don't give a damn about his suits or his Venezuelan connections. Do you think we'll see UFC Spain this year, or will Ilia flip-flop again? And who's the real daddy's boy here? Arman with his open budget, or Ilia, whose image is polished to a shine by marketers? Say what you think, don't hold back. I'll read everything and reply to the sharpest takes. Smash the like button. Remember, the cult must grow. Tell your friends. This was Combat Cult MMA. See you next time.